Hey, I'm glad y'all joined us. Got all my girlfriends here, the Boss Chicks of Houston, and we about to finish kicking it off for the month of June with our June Jubilee. Highlighting other boss chicks in their respective rights. But before I get started, or we get started, I want to shout out one of the boss chicks who um got a little something that she just I don't know, just kind of popped off for on Saturday. It was what kind of blindsided you or just happened. Like it was a direct boot. That's what we call it in the acting world. So do you
Uh-huh.
share with us? Can you share a little bit of what that's about or what you just got booked for?
Yeah, so it's crazy. So I'm gonna tell y'all something off camera, okay? So
No.
I ain't gonna share it on camera, okay? But
Okay.
I actually got a DM from somebody that was in our film, The Prodigal Son, and sent me a message, and she said, "Hey, there's a possible opportunity for a role." She didn't know a whole lot about it, but apparently she was connected with the main guy that plays my husband in it. And they had another actress that was supposed to show up for this scene, and she backed out of it. And so they needed a particular look. And so she said that this person had to be light skinned
Oh
and
Lord.
could have to kind of also be able to play a role of looking kind of Dominican or Puerto Rican or whatever the case may be. So at first, I'll be very honest with you. Like when I got the information and she couldn't give me a lot of information, I was like, what the hell is this right here? Right. So I said, okay, well, give me the guy's information. So I'm corresponding with him, and he says, well, the writer wants a picture of you. Can you send me a couple of pictures of you because she's looking for a certain look? So I said yes. I sent two pictures over, and immediately he came back and said, "She's sold. Can you be here?" Well, I literally got all this Saturday morning while we were out, get ready to head into the streets to look at properties. We were going to be in 5 different areas, and they wanted to shoot this scene at 5 o'clock on Saturday. And so at first, I was like, I did this. I said, I'll try to make it. I'll let you know. Right. And so then the more he kept sending me information, he sent me the trailer, Arthur was, and I'm into that whole urban fiction, like literature. Like
Mhm.
I love reading all of that stuff. And so then when he kind of told me what the role was, I was like, all right, well, of course, Claude is with me. And so we have to go to somebody's house. And Claude's like, who house is we going to? Like, I'm having to look the house address up. I'm having to, because you know, nowadays people crazy. You don't
Right,
know where you might be going and what you're doing. And I ain't gonna lie. At first, I said, "Is this gonna be some kind of porn shit?
right.
Like I'm gonna go over there and they're gonna be trying to have me do some old nasty stuff on the camera?" That's what I was thinking. I ain't gonna lie. That's kind of what went through my head, right? So finally, I said, "Well, can you just connect me to the writer? Because now I want to talk to the person who's actually making all these decisions." And her and I had a conversation because when I asked him, what's my role and what am I supposed to bring to wear? He was
Uh-huh.
like, oh, something that you would wear. That's why I thought porn, because he said something that you would wear around the house, like a little, like you comfortable look. I was like, wait a minute. And Paul was like, oh, you're not going to that audition right there. So when I talked to the writer, she was like, no, she said, bring a couple of outfits. I want to either see you coming from the gym or maybe coming from hanging out with your girlfriends or maybe going to dinner. So when I got there, I had on my gym workout and then I brought a couple of outfits. And in that time, they had decided to make it where him and I were supposed to be going to dinner. So I got there and they told me the scene was I'm just playing dead, so I didn't have to say anything other than play dead. Well, it was funny because the writer and her husband, they were trying to reenact the role and how she wanted the shot to be done, and the husband kept saying, "Yeah, but she kept trying to help me help her up." And so I was like, well, you're supposed to be dead. So how's you helping getting up or whatever? So it was crazy because when I'm down on the floor and everything, and they do the first, scene, and he comes and he grabbed me, and I'm limp. I'm limp as hell. I'm like I'm dead, right? I ain't supposed to be helping you. Well, he was like, he went and picked me up, and then I think he was so much in his role, he almost just dropped me, and I almost bust my head on the
Oh,
Oh Lord.
They had to come and say to him, wait a minute, now you gotta lay your wife's head back down gently. Like you just can't just let her head fall. So it was exciting because the opportunity is going to be a series. So she's in the process of writing 6 episodes, including the pilot. She's already got some investors lined up. Her book, the 2 books she wrote, is what sparked this interest from it. So we'll be shooting in Houston and then going to Miami in like September,
Ooh,
October.
Miami.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. And yeah, so just a little bit about it. It's drug kingpin. I'm his wife. That's the reason why I had to be all dolled up with all my Chanel and all that stuff, because we be balling out of control.
Yeah.
And they think he murdered me, and the plot twist is he's not the one that murdered me, and so that's kind of how. So there's more to it. Obviously, I won't give away all her
Acting world, girl. How that feel?
All day Saturday, Nicole, earlier in the morning, I was like, kind of like, oh, okay, I'll go see what this is about. And then as the day progressed, I was like, ooh, I'm getting excited about this. And then when I got there, it was really, really cool. I was excited. The author Tanise, she was impressed, and so yeah, we're gonna see what happens with this.
So is it official? We can officially say you've been bitten by the acting.
Yeah, I think so.
Well,
Look, Nicole, I gotta get some more speaking roles now, because
yeah.
look, she kept saying, you is a wonderful actress. And I was like, I didn't say anything. Like, I just had to act dead, right? And look, we're on Claude. Claude talking about, where they do that at, where you just get a phone call and you show up and you book it and you ain't even said nothing at all.
Tell him in the acting world that's considered a direct book.
Okay, so I have to let him know that. And then look, boss chicks. Why today Nicole gonna send me a text tomorrow? Okay, ma'am, I need for you to start posting stuff like with book it, direct book. I need for you to put more actress stuff on your page. I'm like, okay, publicist.
Yes, ma'am. That's what they do in the acting world. Booked it, call back. Yeah, they do all of that. It was good to hear. Glad you were able to share that with us. And I want to shout you out because I saw that happened for you big this weekend.
Thank
so that
you.
was awesome.
yes.
Tawana got her staff celebrating her. I had like a little June Friday.
Actually, they had requested to be off that Friday, and they came to me that Thursday, and I was like, "Look, the slaves wasn't free, but one time. You either going to be free Juneteenth or July the 4th. Which day do you all want?" So they was like, "Okay, we'll take July the 4th, but we'll do a potluck." And I said, "Okay, well that's good. I mean, what do y'all want me to bring?" And they said nothing. And I didn't even expect the spread that they brought. Oh my God, it was so much food.
And look, and then she gonna tease the rest of us. Talk about look what my staff did. Didn't even invite us to get a plate, no doggy bag, no nothing.
What's that fried? Oh, it's fried something too. Look.
That's why I asked her, was it a surprise?
I mean, I didn't know. I mean, I knew they was gonna probably bring something, but I thought it was just probably gonna be we was gonna have lunch in the office. But I didn't know they was gonna do a spread like that. I had no clue.
See,
So they just told me they was like, "You just stay in your office, and we'll tell you when to come out." And when I came out in the conference room, I was like, "Oh my God, they had everything."
So in
So,
spite of all that, they really do love you and Mr. Wilson.
Mhm.
I don't care how many witches and bitches they may call y'all, but they still live. Oh Lord. Okay, y'all, we really in here now. So I'm go ahead and jump into what we're gonna be talking about today. So our guest, her name is Shronica, and I met her. It's probably now been about maybe 5 years ago. I was it was called Neighborhood Centers back then, but now it's called Baker Ripley. And that agency, they do a whole bunch of things from education to senior care, housing, and all that type of stuff. So I was on a contract there, working in a program that where they were trying to, where they had a department working with individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities, and trying to see how um, dementia played a role in their care, or if the individuals that had Down syndrome, how that affected them. And so we were on I was on a project there. She was in a different department, but I used to see her in passing. And so after I left there, we kind of kept in touch. And she would reach out every now and then. I knew she wanted to start a business. She used to always talk about wanting to start a home care business. So I know she was in photography, and I think she may still do that. But after I left, I would, we would talk, and she would text me every now and then, ask questions sometimes. And she finally ended up starting her own business, and I was, so excited for her. When we spoke about it, she told me she was a little bit nervous about it. For one, she lives here in the Cypress area, and her business is in Tyler, Texas. She is from Tyler, but it appears to be doing very well for her. She has gotten accolades from the city, and I'll let her, talk about that as well. But so that's kind of how she and I connected, and she knew what I did, and she just kind of kept in touch with me, I guess, maybe for a resource or whatever. So just to tell you guys a little bit about her, she sent me a bio, so I'll read it. She is the owner of the Rose Residential Care Home in Tyler, Texas. She's diligent in her business and committed to helping seniors age in place. She has over 10 years of experience working with older adults and she's opened up her first location in March of 2020. She's now proudly serving 2 locations in Tyler, Texas. She has her undergraduate degree in social work and business from Texas College, and a master's in business administration from Prairie View A&M University. Her mission is to decrease loneliness and isolation among seniors and create an environment where they are socially and mentally involved in their own care. The Rose was named Best of the Best in 2020 for East Texas, and is proudly recognized for its care throughout East Texas. Without further ado, I want to go ahead and bring on Shronica.
Hey, thank you, ladies. Thank you all for having me.
How you doing?
Bye.
Queen, how are you?
Thank you. I'm doing good. You all are so funny. I'm like backstage just laughing away. I'm like, you all really do act like you've known each other for years. And by the way, I do follow you all, and I do admire you all.
Thank you.
So we're gonna jump right on in it. The Rose Care Home. Tell us about it.
So I like to describe us as a boutique style living of assisted living, or I also like to, describe it as an extended living for older adults. We're just not a place where people go to die. We're a place where people go and like live their best life. That's what we say. And so what makes us different from any other assisted living or personal care home is that we actually get our residents involved in their care. So most of the times, if you've ever known anybody in a nursing home or assisted living, it's like routine cookie cutter. It looks like a facility. So if you're not familiar with the residential care home, we're in a house. And so we actually want them to feel like they went from their house to just another house, really. And so we let them cook if they want to cook. We let them meal prep if they want to cook. If they want to meal prep, we're not on a strict routine or anything. When they get up, they get up. When they want to eat, they eat. We provide 3 meals a day. and snacks, just like any other place. So we offer the basic things like medication assistance, help with ADLs and so forth on. But again, what makes us different is we kind of let them create their own routine. So our staff, they don't wear scrubs, nothing about it, reminds them of facility or anything. We hate for people say facility. I always correct them and say, no, we're not a facility. We're actually a home. And so that's just a little bit about us. And we opened our first location, like Nicole said, in March of 2020 last year. And we opened our second location in February of this year.
Woo, woo.
So,
And I can say this. The reason a lot of people ask me why Tyler instead of Cypress or Katy, Tyler didn't have any residential care homes at all. And if you're familiar with this market, it's one pretty much on every corner in Cypress, Katy area in Houston. So I just wanted to go somewhere where I could just dominate the industry and be the leader and not the follower, of the
Hey.
concept.
boss
Okay,
chick,
leader.
boss chick.
So your care homes, how many individuals can it house?
So we like to keep it small. So six. So six is pretty manageable. So that it's not stressing out the staff. Once I feel like once staff get over 6 or 7 people, they start getting stressed out and burnt out. And then that's when you have that big turnover rate. Because people are just stressed out. And I think six really makes it feel personalized.
Or do they share rooms?
They do. Some of them share rooms. We do have where we do offer private rooms now. So the second location, I did offer a private room. I'm not a fan of private rooms because I just feel like they create isolation. I just feel like when somebody has a companion in the room, it just creates an environment for socialization.
So being in Tyler, I know you said that there weren't many facilities, or let me take that back, care homes out there in Tyler. So how did the word get out? Like, did you have to do any type of campaigns or did you market? How did people hear about the Rose Home?
So I'm still trying to train the brains of Tyler to see this as a third option. We are the only residential care home in Tyler. And whenever people hear about us, they think it's just the most amazing thing ever that we offer something like this for older adults. What some of the ways that I, got this out, believe it or not, the newspaper. I think I got like 3 clients from the newspaper because in East Texas, people still read the newspaper, and my target market, they still read the newspaper. So I got a lot of, feedback from the newspaper ads. When I won Best of Best, East Texas, one of the best in East Texas, that drew a lot of attention to us as well. Right now I have a radio ad. I mean, although my numbers are good, my goal is to create a waiting list. So, I still continuously market. We have a big Facebook presence. I think a lot of times people go wrong, especially in the assisted living area. The residential care area, I'm going to say that they don't really keep the public in tune on what's going on in the home every day. We do a pretty good job. People like the fact that we post all the time what our residents are doing because that's where they get the day-to-day action. A website doesn't give you the day-to-day on what people are doing.
How did you get the award or the recognition for the best of the best? Like, how did that happen?
So I'm gonna have to say this. Like Nicole said, I still am a photographer. So a lot of my following comes from the photography world. So it's one of those things where I'm not gonna say I was like, I think I'm considered one of the top photographers in East Texas because that's where I started at. I started in East Texas. So I have a huge following when it comes to that. So I have to say, like, my following from my personal page and my residents, family members, they pushed it. And then just the general public. I did join the Chamber of Commerce there in Tyler. So because they really love my concept, they really want to see me succeed there. So I would just say, really relying off of my supporters, my friends. I have a ton. My family lives there, so and we're a lot. It's a lot of us. So
Is that award of recognition something that the city does, or did that come from like, I guess the industry in the senior care industry?
So they normally do they do the best of the best for a lot of different categories.
Oh,
So
okay.
and it's put on by the Tyler newspaper.
Okay.
So it's not anything, with that the city does. They do like a little recognition. They give you a banner and all this, good stuff. But I mean, just to make it to the top three, and I was amongst the top two biggest, most prestigious assisted livings that have
Prestigious.
like multi-million corporate companies, and little old bitty me with 6 residents. I mean, we made it to the top three. So I'm
Oh,
just fortunate for that, because if anybody knows Tyler, Texas, it's a Republican city,
mhm.
um, and they're not used to Black women leading. So just to see a Black woman in the top three, own businesses, I was like proud of myself, even if it didn't come from the city. It came from my supporters, just to see that they wanted to see me on top. Was I mean, I was appreciative of that.
Okay. So I wanted to also talk about because I mentioned how we met. We were working at Baker Ripley, and you were, I can't remember your exact job title, but I know it was in senior care.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you used to mention, that you always wanted to open a home. I don't know if it was because of seeing things that you can tweak or do better from, your past experiences as working as a caseworker. But what is your why? Like, why a senior care home?
So, like you said, being in the geriatrics social work field, for as long as I was, I went into a lot of homes where they really did not need to be living alone, and it was sad to see people who had dementia, or Alzheimer's, living alone with no support system. They couldn't afford, extended living or assisted living, and it was just sad to where I would have to put them in a place. Well, I didn't put them there.
Mhm,
It's give them the option of a residential care home owner that was not doing it the correct way. We have a lot of owners that get into this for the wrong reason. And
mhm,
so I would always go into these homes and I would take notes, and I would like, all they're doing is just sitting there watching TV all day. I always had it in my mind that it's what I wanted to do. I wanted to create an environment where they were not afraid to leave their homes,
mhm,
that they could feel like they could go somewhere else and live, a safe and happy, the rest of their lives. It's sad when you see seniors afraid to leave their homes when they really and truly need to, because nursing home assisted living has a very bad stigma around it. Because I'm sure you all have heard your mom say, don't put me in a nursing home, you better not put me in a nursing home. I mean,
mhm,
that's the number one thing that I used to always get working in the field. Was it was always that, you better not put me in you better not put me in a nursing home. And it just hurt my heart. And then after Harvey, I was voluntold that I had to be the head of the senior housing part of Hurricane Harvey project, which is where I had a team of social workers that I had to manage, and they all had a caseload for just seniors who were impacted by Harvey. And then I had like new social workers, and then to hear their stories and why people didn't want to leave, and they were living in mild and moldy because they were afraid to go places. It just really hurt my heart. And at that time I was just like, you know what, I want to create an environment where people were not afraid to be at, were just like happy and was okay with it. And I do remember asking you several questions and it was on my vision board for 2 years, and I'm just like, you know what, I just got to get over it and just do it. I mean, I've always been that type of person who is not afraid to take risk, but I think it's just the overwhelming part, and
mhm.
just afraid to lose that direct deposit.
So how you feel today?
Girl, it's the best thing that ever happened to me. When I tell you, life has been amazing to be able to make my own schedule,
Huh?
not have to answer to anybody.
Wake up when you done sleeping.
Girl, oh my
No, you
God.
said when you're done sleeping.
Yeah, wake up when
Yes,
you
when
done
you done
sleeping.
sleeping. Yes. I mean, it's just the feeling of like being able to not miss any functions, like my children's functions. Um, I hate to say this, but having, it's I don't like working from home, but I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, I enjoy it. I don't regret any of it.
That's good. I wanted to mention because you were talking about the nursing homes and the bad stigma they have. So my grandmother actually just recently passed from dementia in February, and so she had she was staying with my aunt, and she had fell and I think broke her ankle or something. They had to put her in a rehab center.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but when she came home, she was a totally different person. Like she would cry a lot. She wasn't talking. When my aunt went to touch her, she kind of jumped a little bit. So we don't know what happened. And of course, this was in the middle of COVID. So when they went to visit her, they had to talk to her through a window.
Oh yeah.
And when they would go visit her, she would would cry. So yeah, those nursing homes facilities, you never know what those people are
Right.
doing to those seniors. And so it's great that we have people like you who open homes that actually care about the well-being of seniors. So if we may have listeners on here who may be interested in opening a senior care home. What would be a process like if I had my mom or somebody who was wanting to enroll in one of your homes or come and live, like, do you have a process where they can tour the home? What is your application process?
So first, they would just call and see if we have the availability. We do offer either a virtual tour or they can do an in-person tour. Um, it's very simple. Once they sign the agreement, we don't do contracts or anything. Once they sign the agreement, we do a staff meeting with the family on Zoom. So we get to meet the whole family with the staff. That's what makes us different as well. A lot of times when you go in assisted livings or nursing homes, you only meet with the marketing person that's trying to sell you the room. Well,
Uh,
with us, you actually get to meet our entire staff. So I set up a Zoom link, the family members, because a lot of times they're all over the place. So they log in. We tell them about us. I have each staff member tell them what shift they work on and a little bit about themselves. So when they call the house and want to speak to their mom or dad, they'll know who they're talking to because they met them actually through Zoom.
Oh, okay. And then I think you touched on this earlier, but I know they're older, typically older adults, but the type of activities that I mean, I've seen you do some activities where they kind of get out the house or
Mhm.
y'all may celebrate a birthday or something like that. So how do you guys go about coordinating outings? Do the residents have input in that, or is it something scheduled? Is that laid out kind of in the enrollment process? Or do the families have? I mean, they may tell you, of course, I'm sure what the seniors like, dislikes, and things like that. But how do you guys kind of create a typical outing for the residents?
So if you don't know older people, if you ask them what they want to do, a lot of times they just say, it don't matter. I don't care. I don't want to do nothing. I just want to watch my stories. So we basically don't give them a choice because if we say y'all want to go X, Y, and Z, it's either too hot or too cold. So we
Uh-huh.
just schedule it. Normally what we do around activities is we do a questionnaire when they come in and we kind of see what they like. So if we have somebody that likes we have a, like, for example, we have somebody who used to sell Mary Kay. She retired from Mary Kay, so she is all about makeup and nails and all that kind of stuff. And
They're so
so
cute.
so we scheduled, yes, girl, when she moved in with a whole bunch of Mary Kay products and she was giving them away to everybody. So we'll schedule like a mani and pedi day for her, where we have, I put some extra people on staff and then they come in and do their nails and, and we'll let her do makeovers on the residents because that's what she likes to do. And they let her do it. But generally we trying to take an inventory of what they like to do. Our last activity we did, we went to a pony farm. Older people really love animals and kids. They love either one of those. So we went to a pony farm. The lady, she had a whole bunch of land and we did a picnic out there, invited the family members. And they just fed the ponies, and they really enjoyed that. So it's really like simple stuff. As long as they can get out every now and then, they'll be okay. In July next month, we're going to uh, a, air show. We have one of the guys that's living there. He's a Navy veteran.
Mm-hmm.
No, Air Force. I'm sorry, Air Force veteran. And so they're having an air show. So we're going to take them out there to see the air show because that's what he likes. So we kind of try to do an activity around, everybody's personality, even if the other person don't like it. Trying to coordinate all of them to go is, oh God, it
Was it
takes about an hour
to
just
not
to get everybody just to get everybody just to agree to go, even though they know we're going. It just takes an hour. I'm just like,
I'll be like, Shirley, my leg hurt, girl.
oh girl, I don't feel like going today. It's hot outside. I'm allergic to the weather.
Well,
And
do they
we
have an option not to go?
not really.
Oh,
Because we know the ones who say that they don't want to go, they end up well, we only have one that refuses to go all the time. And then when she gets there, the first comment that comes out of her mouth, I really enjoyed myself. We know. We know. So yeah. I mean, if they're not feeling well or something, then we don't we're okay with letting them stay. But for the most part, a lot of this is we just have to make them be involved because a lot of times, especially if you go to a nursing home, they'll have an activity calendar up. Half of the folks are in their room or
uh-huh.
somewhere else. But once you get them involved and start like letting them see, okay, then the event was nice. They're okay with it. They ended up not, end up not regretting it. And the family members like the fact that we're trying to get them out and doing something.
And what's the typical age range you see that are wanting home care?
Oh goodness. I have a lot of people in their mid 70s. I don't get anybody that's younger than 70, 75. So it's normally because seniors are really healthy these days. Like
Uh-huh.
so between 75 and 95, that's my typical age range.
95.
Yeah.
And they still
Oh,
able body, huh?
yes. I just had one that passed away Sunday. 95.
Oh wow.
95.
And so how I know that's probably I'm sure was your first resident that passed away. So how does that process work when you have somebody in the home that passes away? Just kind of contact their family or
Yeah, normally we'll know like when they're kind of like at the end of life, then that's when we bring in hospice. We don't offer any type of skilled nursing. So what we do is we contract through hospice or home health to provide those services. So hospice is I mean, I just love hospice service, especially the hospice company that we use,
Mhm.
because when they pass away, we just call them and they handle everything.
Okay.
They call the chaplain, they call the coroner. I mean, it's just taken care of. Had hospice not being in place, then you have to call the police department. They have to come and do a whole investigation, and it's just such a headache. So normally hospice has a bad stigma around it as well because people think hospice is just for people who are dying, but it's not.
Mhm.
Hospice provides so much, so much. So yeah, we rely on hospice to kind of take care of that in the life. And she had been with us for a year, June the 1st. And so when you
Oh,
have low numbers, like 5 or 6 people in the home, you become attached to them.
yeah.
Their family becomes your family. And so we really get to know them. I mean, I've learned so much just from working and doing this business. I've learned how to clean an oven the proper way. I've learned how to um, clean strawberries the proper way. I mean, I've just learned so much. So, when she passed away, it was just like, I mean, we used to call her everybody's best friend because she was really everybody's best friend, you
Oh.
know. Yeah.
Okay. So is it hard to manage the homes from Cyprus and you in Tyler?
Well, at first it was at first, but I hired a great manager. I hired the opposite of me. So a lot of people try to hire them.
Uh-huh.
it only needs to be one me. I'm a Gemini, and that's enough. I can't deal with another Gemini working with another Gemini. So I hired the opposite of me, and she is wonderful. As soon as I learned that I can't control everything and that I had to let go of some of the things, and that's why I hired
Hint,
somebody.
hint,
Um,
hint.
it
Look,
became
look, Shronica, I knew as soon as you going down that rabbit hole, I said, I know she about to say something. I know it.
but it became much easier. By month 6, it became easier. I mean, I was going back and forth a lot, but now I probably go twice a month. I mean, I really have good people working for me. I'm very picky about who works for me, who's in a leadership position. I'm very picky about that because I want people to cry when somebody passes away. I want people to cry if they have to leave and go and move somewhere, because that means you really did care about
Mhm.
our residents and you really enjoyed working with us. So yeah, it has been hard managing a business 3.5 hours away, but I have cameras. I see everything. And again, I have a great manager that I mean, she's awesome. I mean, what I don't claim to know everything. I mean, I've never worked in long-term care prior to this. I mean, I had a mentor and I did an internship 8 months before I actually jumped into this to
Uh-huh.
make sure that this is really what I wanted to do. But for the most part, that was my only experience. And she had like extensive experience in this industry. And so, I mean, I always tell people now, hire your weakness, you
Mm-hmm.
know,
Yep.
hire your weakness.
That's 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 a good nugget right there. I agree. I totally agree. Like even now with us with hiring, it's just in our industry. I mean, you're in healthcare, but for
Yeah.
us, I mean, that's one of the natures of the beast is either high turnover rate or we just not having enough staff to work
Yeah.
the home. So,
Well,
I,
I mean, I come across that too, and I mean, but that's where I have good people that step up and take on those extra hours. But yeah, especially right now, it's a struggle with trying to find anybody to work. I mean, it's just a struggle. But I
because
mean,
they get
again,
all this damn free money. They get
yeah,
this money, and
yeah,
that's gonna work.
Well, that's about to end on the 26th.
yeah.
So they ain't
That's
gonna get
about
so look, you gonna place your ad this week. I bet you get a bunch of applications next
I've
week.
already gotten a bunch of calls. You hired? I need a job. I'm just like, yeah, not right
Yeah,
now. Yeah.
that's crazy. But I did want to ask you. I know the pandemic is kind of dwindling down,
Hold
but
on. It's the
um,
echo.
oh,
Okay, there we go.
the pandemic is kind of swindling down. But how did you with the seniors during the middle of the pandemic? Like, how did y'all manage keeping them, out of harm's way as far as contracting the virus and all of that?
So a lot of people know that the senior industry was one of the most fragile industries when it came to COVID.
Mhm.
So for me, and then I opened up
Yep.
in March of 2020, like at the beginning of a pandemic, which freaked me out. And I'm just like, here I go thinking of my plan B and C. And then it's just like when one person moved in, everybody just moved in. But for me, I never stopped visits, like family visits. None of my family members had to visit from a window. Because again, my whole mission is to I don't want to create isolation, because isolation leads to depression, and depression leads to a decline in health, and
Mm-hmm.
then decline in health leads to death, and I need that bed filled. So I mean, that's realistic. That's real talk. I need that bed filled. So I mean, I put things in place. They had to visit on outside or in a designated area. They had to be 6 feet apart with a mask on,
Okay.
sanitized, temperature checked, and all of that. So I did all of that, you know, but they still were able to visit. I mean, during that time, and still right now, it's still very stressful. It
Yeah.
is still stressful because you got to think of, I always tell people I have three groups of people to worry about. I have the residents, the staff, and then the residents' family members. That's three people that I'm constantly worried about, because the residents' family members, they can, I can't control where they go. I can't control where staff goes. And so those two groups of people can just come back and give it to the residents. Thankfully, we had no major issues with COVID. I mean, we had some scares, but it
Mhm.
wasn't like some of these nursing homes and assisted living livings where they had a full on breakout. And that's one thing about the good thing about being in a residential care home is you can control a lot more than when you can in
Mhm.
a bigger facility. So yeah.
Oh, okay. I was wondering about that because the same issue with us, we couldn't control where the staff was going because we kind of had our individuals kind of home pretty much. I mean, they could
Hmm.
go outside the home, but and you kind of seen our individuals because you live
Yeah.
where one of the group homes.
Yes. And they are so nice. Like every time, like walking down the street or driving, they always, waving. And I think they were selling candy one week, and
Look, I didn't give them no candy to sell.
Look,
but
I'm
it
ready.
was
Nicole, you out there pimping them residents.
They ain't exploiting nobody. Don't. I ain't exploiting nobody. I don't know where they get their candy from.
they were, but it was a good fundraising candy. It wasn't just no generic. It was fundraising candy. So I mean, I support it.
So what I think they got that from Josh. I think Josh gave them that candy. That
They
that.
be creative on their own.
Mhm.
Well, I
Yeah.
believe that. I believe that because some of the conversations I have with them, I'm just like, okay, all right.
Well, it sounds like your home is amazing. Is it? I did want to ask this though. Is it regulated by any state entity, or is this just like a private pay type enrollment? Like, are you regulated by HHSC, which is the Texas Health and Human Services Commission?
So no, I'm not regulated by anybody except for the city. And because
Oh, the city. Okay.
when I first came in, the city really didn't know what to do with me, because again, I'm the first one there. So at first they told me no, and I'm just like, no, I done bought this house. You finna tell me yes. so, so yeah, so I'm just like, no, you about to, yeah, no, you about to, yeah. So I mean, I hired somebody and he fought it for me, and it all worked out pretty good. But I'm not regulated by the state. We're 100% private pay, so I don't take Medicaid, Medicare, or anything like that. Even if I did was licensed by the state or anything, I still wouldn't do um, take insurance like Medicaid or Medicare. They just don't. The state just doesn't pay enough, and in order for me to give quality, good care, I need to be able to do private, private rates. I need to be able to do that. Now, hopefully by my fourth or fifth house, maybe I'll be able to play Robin Hood, you know, and have a more affordable, place to stay. But yeah, I mean that's my goal. I come from the nonprofit world. I'm huge on giving back, and that's one of my goals. I mean, I really do want to create a way more affordable way of for seniors to live.
Okay. Lastly, if you would, for people who are out here listening who may be interested in starting a senior care home, where would they start?
So they can start by hiring me as a consultant.
Hey, I like you, girl.
They can start there and they can go to my Facebook page and follow me or email me at Shronica at therosecarehome.com. Or again, DM me on Facebook. Yeah, I do offer consultations. I
Yeah.
even give it to you really simple. You can get 60 minutes for $60, and then the price goes up from there.
Okay.
Um, but besides being a consultant, I always just tell people do your research first. A lot of times, like I
Mhm.
said, people get into this for the wrong reasons.
Read.
Because I'm gonna tell you, when I did that internship, mentorship for 8 months, the first day I came home, I was like, I told my husband, I don't know if I want to do this because my back is hurting. Like, because again, I never had worked in long-term care. And so I asked my mentor, you put me on the floor and you treat me just like I'm a regular worker. I ain't never did CNA work before. So me trying to change somebody, I'm like gagging, like, ooh, like it was just, so you have to be realistic because my first month of opening, I was in there working. I was the one that was in there working.
That's
So
the
I
only thing
mean,
that happened.
yeah. Some people just want to just throw money at the situation, be like, "Her, I just want to open and just let somebody else do it," and that's fine. I mean, eventually I want to get to that point, but right now I'm just not at that point. But I just say do your research. Do your research on a location. Don't go somewhere where it's oversaturated.
Mhm.
Um, find your niche. Like find your niche. In my area, I am the niche. In Houston, you wouldn't be a niche. In Houston, you wouldn't be a niche because, of course, what I'm saying, it's not anything new in Houston. But
Mhm.
yeah, and then you don't use your own money. I always tell people that I would don't use your own
OPM, other
money.
people money.
Use other people money. That's one thing I learned. A lot of people like, well, when I get my money, such and such. No,
Mhm.
you don't want to lose your money.
Yep. And if y'all need some money, y'all holler at Deanna.
Hey, put that plug in, boss chick. Put that plug
Holla
in.
at Deanna.
Look, wait a minute now. That money ain't free. Let me make sure
No.
everybody know on here, okay?
Well,
He's a lender, and we got terms and rates just like Chase and Wells Fargo, okay?
I ain't be free. I'm just talking about other people's money.
Yeah. But yeah, so I just say, start with doing your research. Don't just jump out there because this I've seen many people who are trying to sell right now. I mean, I've known people who get into this and don't have a client for a whole 6 or 7 months. But yeah, and my biggest thing that I want to really leave people with and say this is that I always tell people you don't have to be rich or you don't have to be smart. You just have to be determined to get wherever you was because I I'm I'm not rich yet.
All right.
I'm kind of smart, but I got a lot of determination.
Well, before we close, I want to open it up to the other ladies if they have any questions they want to ask or Veronica before we let her go.
Well, I want to commend you, number one, and some of the things that I was running through my mind are, Nicole, first of all, absolutely great interview.
Yes.
Really, questions really on point. But definitely the fact that you showed true boss chick traits by, like you said, started this business literally right before the pandemic hit. And for so many people, that would have been a major turning point for them to say, this isn't it. Let me come back to this a year or two later. So kudos to you for pushing through that. That's excellent. And hopefully other ladies on here, if you didn't also take away what Sharonica's talking about is things that we always talk about on the show is about you need to jump. You need to have somebody in your corner that's going to push you. And what you've done shows that you didn't let a pandemic stop your dream. I certainly liked being a coach, hearing that you put some money into yourself for 8 months and said, before I even jump out here and do this, even though you've researched, you actually invested yourself into that industry. That right there is phenomenal. And I think people need to hear that more and more because you just can't watch folks on Instagram or Facebook and not want to put some value into yourself. I never understand how people want other people to invest into them, but they're not willing to invest into themselves.
Right.
And so congratulations on that. I was very, very impressed by what you said. It's obvious you have a passion for it. And I think that's one of the other things. Anybody that wants to get into this industry, they really need to have a passion for senior care. Not everybody has that patience level. Like, I'll be honest, I ain't got that patience level. So thank God for people like you, right? Like, I don't have that. And I definitely ain't changing nobody diapers and stuff like that. So, yeah.
It does take a special kind of person.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
I had to change some diapers
it's hard.
too.
It's hard.
Yes.
Nicole and Tawana are a perfect example.
I remember in the parking lot of Walmart, I was pregnant with Jace chasing one of my individuals because she done ran away from the group home. So yeah, when you talk about dedication and determination, I got it.
I'd be like, 911, she is like, I don't know where she at, but I'm about to go home. So y'all just send somebody here.
And then she
Yeah.
thought that shit was funny, but I caught her ass though. But she ain't with me no more. She ain't with
Look,
me no more.
Tawana got a runner. Tawana told me about her runner. She got a runner too.
Oh Lord.
I
Oh,
have several.
yeah.
I have several runners. I keep a pair of tennis shoes in the office. Take the pumps off and go to running.
We have story for days. But
And
I
just
want
like Shronica, I mean, it takes special people to deal with people, not even just senior living, just caring for someone because
Yeah.
you have to realize that they're not machines. And on holidays or week, you can't turn people off. We have to be available 24/7 because
Yeah.
we are human and you can't put a price tag on a life. So I commend you being in this field, healthcare for 25 plus years. I know it's not easy and I applaud you and you are a boss chick.
yeah,
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And I
I
wanted to say,
appreciate you.
Sharonica, I do love the fact that you thought out the box. And that is so awesome as far as you looked into that industry and you just thought out the box. And that means a lot that you really do, put your heart and soul into this. So you can definitely tell. So absolutely commend you on that.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You're
Yes.
welcome.
Listen, y'all, if y'all have some seniors, I don't care if one is round the corner from you, y'all take them to Tyler. Y'all know they're gonna get a good
Right.
meal, they gonna get bathed, they gonna be clean, and their diaper gonna be changed.
Right. Right. All that. Because I don't plan on doing one in Houston. So yeah.
I'll take them to Tyler. Y'all can go visit
Take
them.
them to Tyler.
We can Zoom, have a Zoom meeting.
Maybe Bay City. Maybe I'm thinking about Bay City going next because Bay City doesn't have any residential care homes. So I'm thinking about Bay City. So that may be my next move.
All right.
But never say never for Houston because Houston needs some
Mm-mm.
good personal
They
care
need
homes.
good
They
ones.
need some.
They need
Oh,
good ones.
I got a list of good ones
You
here. If
can
anybody needs a referral for any good ones here, I have a list of good ones here.
Okay. Well, we appreciate that.
okay.
Thank you again, Sharonica.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Well, again, here we go. We got our it's time to close our show out, and we got Miss Tawana back, who typically prays us out. I'm gonna hand it over to
Can
you,
you all hear
sweetie.
me well though?
Yes, we
Uh-huh.
can.
Can you all hear me well?
Yes.
Okay, all right, y'all ready? Okay,
Yeah.
our Heavenly Gracious Father, Lord, we just want to thank you. We want to thank you for this day, Lord, because this is a day that we'll never seen and we'll never see again. Lord, we just want to thank you for life itself. We're not asking for anything, but we're just thanking you for everything. We're thanking you for the unity. We're thanking you for the platform. Lord, we're thanking you for our families. We're thanking you for our business. Lord, we're thanking you for our health. We're thanking you for our strength. We thank you for the Holy Spirit that leads us each and every day. Lord, we just ask that you continue to give us the strength, continue to give us the endurance, Lord, to do the will and the purpose that you have designed for us. And if you don't do anything else, Lord, we just thank you for what you have already done. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Hey,
Amen.
thank
Church.
you.
Yeah.
Thanks again, Sharonica, and see you guys later next week.
Thanks,
All right.
ladies, for
Thank
having
All right.
me.
Miss Angela,
Thank
Miss Angela
you.
coming next.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah,
The
we have Miss
boss.
Angela this week.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Bye, ladies.
Bye.
All right. Love you, ladies.